Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Yari and I want to thank you all so much for being here today. So today's look is a bold cut crease with warm shades and a big pop of pink. This look goes great for anybody that wants to, maybe go out for some drinks with your girlfriends, girls night out, or if you're just a weirdo like me, going out for a dinner and movie night. If you want to learn how I created this look, just keep on watching and have a beautiful and blessed day wherever you are. Bye! Okay, let's get started. We're using the Stay Don't Stray primer from Morphe Cosmetics, and I'm going to blend it all out, all over the lid, and I'm kind of bringing it out just a little bit so when I create that long crease, it holds the shadows all day long. So today we're going to use the Jaclyn Hill palette once again with my Morphe Y19. I know it's kind of hard to tell with that glare. I'm going to use these two shadows and kind of mix them just a little bit to create my transition shade. And I'm going to put this all over the crease and a little bit above as well. And then just blend it out towards the end of the eye. Okay, with the Y19 brush, I'm picking up this reddish orangey brown shade, putting this in the crease. I don't pick up too much to start off with because then it's just harder to blend out the colors. So always start with a little bit and you can always build it up. So now what I'm doing is I'm kind of just bringing that wing out. I'm pushing it in, but I'm also trying to flick it out and kind of just make a basic shape for my cut crease. So now I'm going to get this shade at least 2 other times, and I'm just going to blend them out, as you'll be able to tell in these 2 faster clips. So I move side to side and then I still kind of flick it out towards the ends so it gives me that nice wing. And with the Morphe M505, I'm able to kind of blend the transition shade and this darker shade into the crease and make sure that it doesn't have any harsh lines. With my Luxie 231 brush, I'm picking up this darker brown shade and I'm starting off with just a little bit of product and I'm trying to work that in all the way from inner corner to outer corner. And I picked up a little bit more just to deepen in that crease. And it's okay if you're a little messy because you can just go back with concealer and clean up the lid. Where you do want to be careful is that you don't take the color too high up. But if you go on the lid, that's totally fine because you're just going to clean that up anyways. Sometimes what happens when you over blend the shadows, that rich color that you put down kind of fades out. So what I did is I just grabbed very minimal of the shade that I had previously on the Y19 and I'm blending that in over top of the brown shade. As you can tell, it's bringing that color back, but you can still see the brown shade that I laid down. And I'm just going back and forth with the Y19 and the Luxie 231. I'm adding more of that rich brown shade. I'm flicking it out so it creates that wing. I'm bringing it into the inner corner. And I'm also using the Y19 to bring in that rich orange shade too. Now with some concealer, get the Morphe R42 brush, and this is where you're going to create your cut crease shape. So the best tip I can give for this step is to just take your time, because if you rush it, it does create a lot of creases. I don't like to pull on my eye because, that just creates wrinkles for the long run. But just take your time and take baby steps. that you have the lid kind of covered, this is where you're gonna do your wing. So I like to start from the very bottom of the eye and then just make a nice sharp line. And it does look a little crazy in the beginning, but as you can tell, I'm kind of going back in from the top and making it a little bit more rounder and softer. So now, dipping back into my Jaclyn Hill palette, I'm picking up this nice hot-ish pink shimmery shade. I'm packing that on with a flat brush all over the lid where I put concealer, and then I'm going to bring it out wherever I have that concealer on the wing. Picking up the same color that I used with my Luxie 231 brush, that nice brown shade, I'm going in with a very flat squared brush. And I like this brush because it's very precise. And all I'm gonna do is just clean up right there where it looks a little bit uneven, where it goes from cut crease to transition shades. For this part, when you're trying to clean it up, what I like to do is I like to hold the brush kind of pushing down, and every time that I do one area, I go back into the shadows and I pick up very little product. If you pick too much product, it's going to overcome the pink shade and it's gonna mess up that nice clean crease that you have created for your eye shape. And I like to use like different angles. So I'm using the brush sticking from all the way up, pointing down, and now I'm just sticking it straight into the eye. And then in the beginning, how I was sticking it from the bottom up. Now just picking up my Luxie 231 brush with no added product, I'm blending out those harsh lines that I might have created while adding that brown shade to clean up the crease. And same thing with my Y19, no added product, just blending out any harsh lines that I might have created. And now for some liner. So what I like to always do is just create a nice base for the eyeliner, and I start as close to the lash line as I can possible. Like I always say, and like I always will say, is please, please, please take your time, take baby steps. Take a breather if you need to, because I know I do sometimes. For the wing, start at the lower part of the outer corner and just move very slowly. But once you get towards the end of the wing, pick up your hand very, very lightly. You don't want to use a heavy hand for the wing. After filling in that gap between wing and liner, you want to take very, very small strokes to kind of blend those together. And you don't have to use a lot of product. If you do, it usually tends to bleed, or at least with this eyeliner, it does tend to bleed. And now that I created that more blended look, I like to take the wing out a little farther just so it's very dramatic. And just for a quick note, I do want to apologize. I wasn't able to record the rest of my liner or how I put on my lashes or even how I put glitter on. I didn't realize my camera stopped recording, and I'm so sorry for that. But these are the eyelashes that I use. They're very wispy and natural. And to put on the glitter, I use the Luxie 211 brush, mixing the white glue from Duo and this pink glitter from NYX Cosmetics. Using this blending sponge from Pure Cosmetics, I'm going to highlight and bake my face. I do like to create that nice triangle under my eye because I feel like that's the best technique for having that very like lifted, you just got a facelift kind of face when you're highlighting. Also, another quick note that I like to add is that you want to make sure your sponge is not super wet, but just make sure it's damp. Because if it's dry or it's too wet, it's either gonna make the foundation sink all the way into the sponge if it's too dry, or two, if it's too wet, it's gonna make your foundation look very blotchy. Now it's time to bake that face, girl. Here I'm using the Airspun translucent face powder, and I'm putting it very close to the under eye with the sharper end, I guess you can say, of the beauty sponge. And I like this translucent powder. I also like the Laura Mercier one, but this one's more of like my everyday translucent powder. Now it's time to contour. I'm using the Bahama Mama from the Balm and this MAC angled brush. It's the number 168. I like to use this below the cheekbone in the hollows of the cheeks. Now, when I contour my forehead, I do have a lot of baby hair, so I do have to take that into consideration. But I do use a very light hand, and I try to build up my product depending on how strong I want to contour. And now when I want to connect the sides, I just blend up and down, up and down. And now I am chiseling my double chin. And I use a very light hand there too, because sometimes what will happen is if you use a lot of contour or even bronzer, it makes a very harsh line. And I like to sweep it from side to side to do the outline and then just blend it down as well. Going back with the beauty sponge and the translucent powder, I like to carve underneath the contour just to make it a lot more sharper. I let it set for about 5 minutes and I go back with my E2 from Morphe and I just clean off all that excess powder. I also take off the powder from on the sides of my smile lines and underneath my eyes. This step is nice to do after you have already contoured, because sometimes if you over contour and it's too strong, that extra setting powder really just softens up the look. And now for my blush, I love to use this Milani Baked Blush, the shade Luminoso. Tap off the excess, of course, and then just blend it in nicely. And this brush is the I believe it's Royal and Langnickel. I can't say the name of it, but it's nice and fluffy and soft. I couldn't find the website for it. It was like weird websites, so I apologize for that. I actually got this brush at Generation Beauty and they came in my goodie bag that I received that day. After the lash glue dries, it does leave a shiny streak. What I like to do is I go back in with my eyeliner and just kind of go over that line. And today I'm going to set my face with this Mario Badescu Rose Water, and it smells really nice, and I've used it about 2 or 3 times now and it just sets my whole face amazingly. I like to do that actually before I put highlighter on because it makes my highlighter pop. And I'm using this Mary Luminizer, also from the Balm, and I'm using my Luxie 522 and it's a tapering highlighter brush. To contour my nose, I use this angled brush from Coastal Scents. It also doesn't have a number, but I received it from my Ipsy Glam bag. I use the Bahama Mama from the Balm that I used to contour with, and I just bring it up and down along the sides of my nose and the tip of my nose as well, and I like to move it up towards the front of the brow just so it looks nice and blended. But I don't like to add a lot of product when I do that either. I grab my E2 brush with whatever product was left over from when I dusted off my baking, and I just pat it a little bit on the nose so it looks blended and it doesn't look too intense. Now with the Mary Luminizer, I grab my ring finger and I move it up and down the nose just so it gives it a nice highlight. I like to use my pinky that doesn't have any highlight on it to just blend it out, because it does kind of stop at one point and you do want to keep that blended so it doesn't look so harsh. I go back into the highlight and I like to use my ring finger as well to highlight my cupid's bow, because sometimes when I use a brush it just kind of splatters the highlight everywhere, and this is a little bit more precise. I go back in with my Luxie highlighting brush and I kind of just touch up everything that I just did. I do like to go underneath the chin because when you're taking pictures it just looks like you have a healthy glow. I go back in with my Coastal Scents brush and just touch up the contour that I previously had. This liquid lipstick is from ColourPop. It's in the shade Beeper. I like it because it's not super brown and it's not super pink. It's not a nude shade either, but it's very subtle, and when I do dramatic looks, these are usually the colors that I look for. When coloring my lips, I do like to first start in the middle to take off a little bit of the excess liquid lipstick. Then I do the sides, and at last I outline, only because if I outline first, it has that super concentrated amount of lipstick on the applicator, and then it just leaves everything very messy. Then I like to do the top. Like I said, I like to kind of just take a little bit of the product off and then do the outlining at the end. Like I said before, I do kind of overdraw my lips because I don't like my cupid's bow shape. It's a little too narrow, and this just makes it look a little bit more heart-shaped, and I love that heart-shaped look. I am going to add a lighter shade into the middle of the lips, and I like this because it makes your lips look a little bit bigger and it's kind of a contouring for your lips. I get this shade in Manila from Ofra Cosmetics. It was too light to use as a nude. I felt like it washed me out, so I'm using it as my highlighting. Using your ring finger to blend it out, I feel is a lot better than using the applicator, because if the color that's under gets on the applicator and you put it back in your tube, it kind of messes up the formula. And I mean, you can be as messy as you want, and if you have to go back in with the darker shade, you can always do that too. Now to finish up the look, you add a little bit of mascara on the lower lashes and you're all done. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something new today, and you better slay with this look. Please hit that like button, please subscribe, and leave me a beautiful comment. I see you girls. Have a great rest of the day or night or good morning wherever you guys are. Bye. Love you.
What kind of snack do you want?
Hot Cheetos, Dr. Pepper, Milky Way, Twix.
No, I want Chubby.
But bring them the spicy ones.
Mommy like it.